Hello everyone, it's Natalie here. Welcome to my channel, Find Joy in the Journey. Today I wanted to share with you a very simple brine recipe that I've been using for several years now. The recipe calls for 4 cups of water, salt, sugar, peppercorns, bay leaves, lemons, and garlic cloves. I do sometimes double the recipe if needed. It depends on what the amount of meat that I'm trying to brine. Today I'll be making a brine for chicken. So I have my measuring cup. I'm going to measure out 4 cups of water. And today I will be doubling this recipe because I want to make sure that I have enough brine that will cover the chicken completely. You want the meat completely submerged in the brine. So I'll start off with my first 4 cups, and then I'll add 4 more. I learned this simple brine recipe many years ago from a cook that I saw on YouTube, and he actually was making his brine to brine chicken that he was going to fry. So a brine is not necessarily a marinade. It is, and I'll give you more information on what a brine does later on in the video. So now I'm going to add my salt. So this is the first 1/4 cup. And then I'll add a second cup of the just regular table salt. I know you can use kosher salt and also sea salt, but if you're going to use the kosher salt or the sea salt, you would use much less salt because it's stronger than regular table salt. Now, 2 cups of sugar, or 1/4 cups, because I'm doubling the recipe, so it's a 1/4 cup, and I'm gonna actually add 2 of them. The next ingredient will be the peppercorns. And I'll tell you what I do. I'll get these peppercorns that are already in like this little container that has like a built-in grinder, like a pepper mill. But I'll just break the top off and save the peppercorns in this little plastic container here, because the only reason I use peppercorns is for brining. So I've had these in this little container. There's no need for the little pepper mill. So I'm just using that same 1/4 cup, and that's how much peppercorns I added. So next is the bay leaves. Quick note, I'm actually growing a bay laurel plant in my garden. So pretty soon I'll have my own bay leaves and I won't have to buy any more. I shared with you before that everything that I grow in my garden is stuff that I will actually use in my kitchen. I try not to experiment with too many different weird fruits and vegetables because I actually want to get my money's worth. So I only grow what I use. Well, at least I try to. The next ingredient will be lemons. So what you do is you're going to cut them in half and you're going to put them in there as is. You don't have to slice it up. Well, that's how I learned. So I just kind of rolled it around a little bit to kind of loosen up that pulp. Makes it more juice, more lemon juice come out from the lemon. So I just rolled it a little bit before I cut it. And I'm going to drop them in there, the 2 halves, just like that. The next ingredient, garlic. These 2 bulbs would be enough. The recipe that I learned, I don't think he gave specific amounts of how much garlic, how much peppercorns. That's why I just kind of eyeball it, and it normally works out fine. Like I said, I just put like a 1/4 cup of the peppercorns, maybe 2 or 3 large bay leaves, the 2 lemons. Now I'm peeling the garlic cloves, and usually I will crush the garlic cloves, but this time I didn't. They're small, and I tell you what, I've noticed that when you cook with garlic, that outer layer will soften, and all the good rich garlic flavor will come out naturally. So you really don't have to crush it, and like I said, they're kind of small anyway. So I'm just going to peel off that outer thin papery layer and place several garlic cloves into the brine. And it's as simple as that. That's the entire recipe. I'm just going to kind of stir it around a little bit because all the sugar and the salt has settled to the bottom of the pot. So I'm just going to give it a quick stir just to help it dissolve. But the next step will be to place it on the stove top and let it come to a boil. And that's only to dissolve the sugar and dissolve the salt. You usually brine whatever meat for, you can brine up to 12 hours. Like when we did our holiday turkey, my husband let it sit in the brine overnight. And that's what I'll do with the chicken today. So now it goes on the stove top. Okay, you guys, I just wanted to show you my quick brine recipe. It's very simple, very easy. I learned it several years ago and I've been using it ever since. It's just a basic brine recipe. One thing is that I see a lot of people using kosher salt. I think kosher salt or sea salt is much stronger than regular table salt. And the recipe that I use is just regular table salt. And I mean, I know you saw that with the film that I did or the recording I did. So I think if you were using sea salt or kosher salt, you would use a lot less. But just Google a quick recipe. That's all I did for brine. And what I've learned about brines is basically what it does is it just the salt, the sugar, and all of that in the liquid. So what's happening now is that the brine is boiling when it comes to a boil, and all the sugar and salt, it dissolves. You're going to just let it cool down, and then you're going to take whatever meat that you're brining. The meat that I'll be brining is chicken. This is for something for dinner later on. And you don't want to brine over 24 hours because it'll make the meat mushy, right? So overnight is good. You can do maybe it depends. You can brine for 2 hours if you're trying to do something real quick. You can just brine it for 2 hours, but at least 8 hours is good because basically what it's going to do is it forces the moisture into the meat. So I heard someone describe it as you're kind of fail proofing your meat because you know how you can, especially if you're cooking white meat, it can turn out dry, or even a turkey. We did a brine for our turkey this holiday, this past Thanksgiving, and it turned out wonderful. And it wasn't my homemade brine recipe. It was one that we got from the store by a company called Kinder, and I do recommend that. It turned out fantastic. But this simple recipe that I use, it works great too. And but it forces the moisture into the chicken. So when you or whatever meat that you're brining, and so when you do cook it, it kind of is like a little insurance that it won't dry out. So that's why I like to use a brine. And then it's seasoned too. It's seasoned well. So my brine has come to a boil. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn the fire off on that pot. And then once it cools down, you can also help it cool down by adding ice cubes.
I have some ice cubes, and I'll do that. And then that's when you're going to find either a container or a bag. You can use a brine bag, like for something large like a turkey. There was a brine bag that actually came with the brine that we purchased. It was a brine kit. So I wish I had kept the box or showed you the box, because it's a good brand. I've used that seasoning before, but and my husband can attest to that. The turkey was fantastic. So and it had an extra packet of seasoning for you to sprinkle on top of the turkey too. But with the chicken that I'm brining, I'm going to use my brine, and I have a container, a large container that I'll put the chicken in, and then you pour the brine over it. So, and you're going to just let it sit overnight in the refrigerator. You're going to cover it and let it sit overnight. So, that's what I'll be doing, and I'll record the rest of it so you can see. But I just want to hop on real quick to show you that, as you can see, I have my little recipes written on these little cards. These are just index cards. They have the smaller index cards, and then they have these larger ones. I think this is either it's a 3x5 or a 4x6. I think it's a 4x6. But so I've been writing my little recipes down. Like, this is the peach cobbler that I did, and then on the back, see, because I'll show you a blank card. It has the lines on the front, and then the back is just blank. So what you can do is you use the side with the lines. This is my sweet potato pie recipe. I have all the ingredients listed, but then when it gets to the part where you need to have a larger space because you're going to write the instructions or the directions, then that's when you flip it over and you use that side. Okay, so that's what I did with my peach cobbler. So, and I actually have a laminator. I'm thinking I should laminate them. It's just for, like I showed you with my recipe book, that I have it in these little plastic sleeves. So, because I'll just pop this out, throw it on the counter, and go to it. But sometimes you have a spill, and if you have it covered in some type of plastic or protective covering, you can just wipe it clean. So, just want to share that real quick. Now I'm going to get back to the brine, okay? All right. Okay, so here's the brine. It's been cooling down, but I'm going to add some ice cubes to help it cool down faster. And it also kind of dilutes it just a little bit. So I put the ice cubes in there just to help it cool down. And then once it's thoroughly cooled down, don't use it while it's hot. You wait till it's cool. And then I'm going to use, I bought this large bowl here, and it has a top to it. When I have just a small amount that I'm brining, this is perfect. So I'll probably use this bowl. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and let that cool down.
Come right up in that warehouse.
Okay. I had my Mr. Tony help me out because I was making dinner. I was finishing the spaghetti and meatballs. So he washed the chicken for me. This is the chicken. I have chicken breasts, boneless chicken thighs, and I have a few drumsticks. And that same recipe that I showed you before, where I did the baked chicken, that's what I'll be doing again. But this time, instead of just the regular seasoning, I'm actually going to do a brine. So the chicken is ready. I'm using that container that I told you that I'll be using. And here is the brine. So let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Just going to spoon it in. Make sure the lemon gets in there too. Now bay leaves, everything. Try to get the garlic. I'm doing it this way because I may not have a lot of lemon. So, here's my spoon. I just want to make sure that I get all of those little garlic cloves. and the bay leaves. Oh, yeah. Because I may not use all of this liquid. That's why. I'm just making sure I get them out. And I will pin the recipe for this brine in the comments. Or if not in the comments, it'll be in the description. So I just want to make sure I got the garlic cloves. Ta-da! Looks like it's all gonna fit. Let's see. This is raw chicken, so be careful when you're, so all my spoons and everything, all the utensils I'm using, I will definitely make sure everything's washed. See if I can put as much of this as I can, especially those peppercorns. Hope you can see. And you want whatever meat to be completely covered. There we go. Everything's completely covered. I mean, it should. I have a family of 4. It's me, my husband, and my 2 sons. So I try not to overcook, but sometimes I do. But I think I got it this time. It's completely covered. So I'm gonna get the top. I'll cover this. Be right back. Alrighty. Here's a little plastic top. And see, I like this bowl. Matter of fact, I bought this bowl actually for brining. Because it has a little top that you can seal it. The edges here. And also if you're like just seasoning your meat and you let it marinate overnight, this is perfect for it. Okay, so it goes in the refrigerator and it'll be overnight. So tomorrow I will definitely take it out of the brine. Like I said, you don't want to brine it over 24 hours, but an overnight is good. Like, because if you brine it too long, the meat will become too mushy. Okay. Okay, everybody, here it is. This is my chicken. I have taken it out of the brine. It sat in the refrigerator overnight in the brine, and I got up early this morning and I drained, even though I'm not going to cook it right now, I made sure that I removed it out of that brine. I didn't want it to sit and continue to brine, because if you leave it in the solution too long, then it could break down the meat and make it mushy. So, and I removed the lemons already. I've thrown those away. And I just wanted to show you one thing, and is that the peppercorns, as you can see, they're small. So I got to make sure all the peppercorns are off. This is one of the steps. You got to, take it out of, remove the, all of this stuff, peppercorns and everything. Now, say for instance, I had a brine that had smaller leaves like basil and parsley, and there's so many different things you can use in a brine to make it more flavorful, because not only is it tenderizing the meat, tenderizing it and making it more moist, because and I will put the information on there explaining to you how brines work, but it kind of forces the moisture into the back into the meat, so when you cook it, it doesn't dry out. Well, if it does, you have to really do some real heavy duty cooking to dry it out, put it that way. But the only thing I hate is these little bitty peppercorns. I try to make sure I get all of them out of there, because they may get like stuck up under the little skin part and everything. But it doesn't take that long, and I don't have a lot of meat. Like I said, I have a family of 4 that I'm feeding, and so I don't try to overdo it. I cook just enough to make sure that we can eat off it at least twice perhaps. And let's see, but that's it. And I'm not gonna let you have to sit here and watch me do this part, but I just wanted you to see, I like to be transparent. Yeah, there's a little work to be done. I just have to get the little peppercorns off, that's all. But I'll tell you this, I saw a gentleman I've seen people use like and I'll show you this little thing that I have. It's this little mesh ball that you can actually put your, matter of fact, because I'll finish this off camera, I'll show you what I'm referring to. I've seen somebody use one of these. You see that? It's a herb infuser, right? So what he did is he took this, and this is brand new. I just bought it because I was gonna make my own brine for my turkey, but I didn't. We bought a brine, like I said in the, earlier in the video. We bought one and it worked perfectly. But in that video that I watched, where this gentleman was brining his turkey, the loose things like the rosemary and I think he used rosemary and parsley, maybe even thyme. He just kind of rolled it up and put it in this infuser, and it made things easier to get it out of the brine. I wonder even if you could do this with the peppercorns, because this is this is really the annoying part to me, is getting all these little peppercorns off here. But he did use this little brine infuser. Also, another way, I saw a gentleman who was doing a turkey. He took the parsley and all those loose ingredients that may float around. He actually put it in he was brining a whole turkey, and he actually put the all those loose things like rosemary and parsley and all that stuff and thyme and whatever else he used, he put it in the cavity of the turkey. But in this case, like I said, my simple brine did not call for all of those things. I knew it was just a bay leaf and garlic cloves, and the lemons, they're huge, so you can easily pick those out. The only thing are these annoying little peppercorns, and I just wanted to show you. So basically, you know, to not hold things up any longer, this is the finished thing after being brined. I'm not going to show you. You've seen me bake my chicken before. If you go back and look at that video, go look at that video. Go find that video where I'm doing baked chicken with gravy. But I'm just doing it different this time. This is what I'm going to do with this chicken also. I'm going to bake it. But I just wanted to use the brine to, you know, to tenderize the meat and give it more flavor. So after the brine, you have to get off all these little, like I said, peppercorns. Then, before you cook it, you're going to take a napkin, right? I don't have my gloves on, so I'm just going to do one. And you're going to dry it. You're going to pat it dry. Okay? So it's going to take you a few napkins. But then you're going to pat it dry. Okay? And it leaves it kind of tacky. So that whatever other seasonings, whatever, and I say season it lightly because it's already going to be full of flavor. Just whatever other seasonings you place on there, it's going to stick to it even better because it's kind of tacky a little bit, you know, from you drying it. But you want that extra moisture off, okay? All right, I'm just going to stop there because pretty much this is what I wanted to show you, is how I brine my chicken and brine other meats. So there you have it. And I will post the recipe in the description box, okay? All right, you guys. Thanks for watching. A brine works by using the process of osmosis to draw moisture into a piece of meat like chicken or turkey by soaking it in the salty water solution, where the salt in the brine disrupts the protein structure of the meat, allowing it to absorb more liquid and resulting in a juicier, more tender final product when cooked. Essentially, the salt pulls water into the meat cells, trapping it there.